What is going on, everybody, and welcome into the final edition of the Unreasonable Odds podcast before week one of the NFL season kicks off. We've been talking football with you all summer with a lot of great guests. Most recently, earlier this week, Adam Levitan came on with us to talk some week one, some NFL futures, some NFL player props. So we encourage you to go back and check out the podcast from earlier this week with Adam Levitan. But for this, we're doing kind of a quick hit week one podcast. It is just my co-host, Steve Buchanan, and I, Julian Edlow. And we're going to get some housekeeping out of the way first. I mentioned it on the podcast with Levy, but we are on Twitter, the Unreasonable Odds podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Unreasonable Odd. No, I did not say the S, because the S isn't there because we ran out of characters. We're going to have to get in a fight with Twitter about that. But at Unreasonable Odd, all the podcasts for this season will come at you from that Twitter handle, as well as at Julian Edlow and at SBuchanan24. I think it is. I don't know why you don't just do your name.
Can't do it. Some weird photographer has my name and he hasn't used in like 3 years, and his photos are awful on top of that too.
All right. So make sure that you don't follow at Steve Buchanan then, because apparently it's not a very good follow. But you definitely want to follow at Unreasonable Odds, the Unreasonable Odds podcast. So we will now be transitioning this podcast to Mondays and Thursdays every week. It's going to be more structured for you guys. So you know exactly what you're getting. Monday, September 13th. Is that right? Yeah, Monday, September 13th will be the first episode of this new format. Steve and I will have plenty to talk about, recapping week one, previewing Monday Night Football, and maybe doing a little bit of look ahead for the week. But for the most part, the guy that is going to come on and help us with that is going to be Johnny Avello, the head honcho over at DK Sportsbook. Been in the sportsbook business for literally ages. He is going to be coming on with Steve and I and talking about why the lines are set where they are, what he expects to move throughout the week, which bets the week before took the most money, what was the biggest losers for people, the biggest winners for people. Who knows? Maybe Steve will even ask him some questions. And maybe you guys will even ask him some questions. Maybe we'll do some Ask Johnny Avello. This is just coming up on the fly, but maybe you guys can send in some questions. All right. And then Thursday, as usual, we'll be coming in with some of the biggest names in the sports betting industry, some of the top analysts, and kind of go over the board, get out some best bets for you guys, play some Know You Better with these guests. And the other thing that we'll be doing on Unreasonable Odds weekly, Steve and I did well with this during the playoffs. I know we cashed a big plus money one on Travis Kelce to have over 100 yards and a touchdown. And we're just kind of going to bring back the Unreasonable Odds weekly promotion. Steve and I will come up with some players or some teams or whatever it is that we like that week, and come up with basically create our own, build our own bet on DK Sportsbook, and they will put it out for us. Week one, we don't have to do that because there's already an absolute stone cold lead pipe lock on the board for you. And that is to take the promotion of going and betting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 73. I have a good feeling about that one getting to the window. So you might want to go max bet that one, which I believe is $25. But hey, that is a free $25 for you to use come Sunday on your week one NFL card, which we are here to talk about. Steve Buchanan, did I forget anything? And if I didn't, why don't you just take us into week one here?
No, I think you hit on everything. I mean, the hosting job is not normally your job. That was a good opening segment by you. So getting ready for the NFL season, you are ready to go. Well, let's
I have a little
piece
of paper, a little sticky note in my hand with everything written on it, and I did it all. It's the most organized I've ever been.
And will ever be. One thing I do want to mention that, obviously you can place all your bets for NFL. You've been able to do this since like mid-May. But one thing that is available on DraftKings Sportsbook for this NFL season is those same game parlays. They are like the most
gosh darn same game parlays.
All good. Oh, please. I mean, if that can't pass, then something is wrong. But same game parlays are available on DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to get into these more as the season progresses. But like, seriously, there's so many different ways, especially if you're familiar with DFS, build a same game parlay that goes with the narrative of how you think that these games are going to go. Get some really big odds on some of these ones. So just make sure to keep an eye on that one. Another thing that we're going to be talking about a lot, and I have one right off the bat. So we might just get right into this. 6-point teasers. They're just like my absolute favorites. But here's why I wanted to bring this up right off the jump, because we are doing something we don't normally do. My 6-point teaser is going to be extended from Thursday to Sunday.
Whoa!
Right. This
Congratulations.
is massive. Thank you very much. You've
joined the money. You've joined the money team. I remember way back when I taught you what a teaser was, and now you've become obsessed with them. I don't. Yep. Do we? We might have the same one, because I'm literally. I can show you the drafts of my best bets article that I am working on right now. Mine is also linking Thursday to Sunday, as it usually is. Tampa's going to be. I'll just say now, Tampa's going to be a really public one, but we'll get into the analysis. That's a great teaser leg.
So Tampa Bay, as we're speaking, actually went down half a point. It's at -8 now. It was 8.5 literally a few moments ago.
So now it's down to 8. I was writing it.
Oh, so there you go. So it's jumping all over the place. So starting with Tampa, and this is where I think you and I are going to differ. But then I'm actually taking the Giants as the second leg, going from +3 to +9 against the Denver Broncos. So that gives you -2 for the Bucs, +9 for the Giants, 2-leg, 6-point teaser, -120. I don't usually go this far out. Even if I parlay something, it has to be in the same game window. So it has to be the 1 o'clock games, 4 o'clock games. Can't go for hours. This is going for days. This is a historic day for myself, the Unreasonable Odds podcast. But first 6-point teaser of the season, Tampa Bay -2, Giants +9 against the Broncos.
That is big of you. You're going to have to wait multiple days to collect your cash. I obviously am not going to argue with you on the Tampa leg of this. First team, can a team come out on ring night and be a little sluggish? Sure, but I think that's literally where the concerns end on this game. This is the first Super Bowl team in the salary cap era to bring back all 22 starters from their Super Bowl champion, and they're going to be hosting a Dallas team whose quarterback dislocated his ankle last year, hasn't played since week 5, didn't get any preseason in because of a shoulder, has had hard knocks going on around distracting them. What else? Is going to be without Zach Martin, their best Pro Bowl O-lineman, against a vicious run defense. It's so square, but it has Tampa written all over it. I don't know how Tampa doesn't win this game and doesn't win it. I'm writing it up at 7.5. I have it at I took it over the summer, honestly, like Tampa when it was 6.5, getting it down to -0.5. So it's just a money line, essentially. I don't mind it at 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Just get it under a field goal to play it safe. But I'll be shocked if Tampa just doesn't cover this game outright. I'm just kind of playing it safe here with my second leg, because I think the second leg is the safest piece on the board in week 1. And that goes with my best bet that I gave out a month ago. The San Francisco 49ers -7. You buy them right down, or not buy them down, but the teaser gets them right down to -1. There's no way that the Detroit Lions are going to win this game. There's no way that the Detroit Lions are going to win this game. The Niners are going to run the ball down their throats. Goff has nobody to pass to. The coaching, Dan Campbell doesn't know what he's doing. Anthony Lynn cost the Chargers multiple games last year with his coaching, and he's the offensive coordinator that will be tasked with leading Jared Goff throwing to nobody to try and go score some points. And I just don't see it happening. So we're starting with the teasers. I think it's a great starting point. We're both on Tampa. I'm going to go to San Francisco there. I will say, in my best bets article, I don't know if I'll get to it. This will probably be a play that I leave off, but I did take the Broncos money line earlier in the summer at -130.
Before or after the Bridgewater thing?
I took it right around when Bridgewater was named the starter at minus
Okay.
130. I didn't want Drew Lock in there, but this was kind of two ways. The Broncos looked good in preseason, and the Giants had some serious O-line issues. So, like, Chubb and Von Miller teeing off on that O-line, I don't see this going well for the Giants. Do I think the Broncos win by double digits? I would lean no. So, like, you can definitely cash your teaser. But I'm not getting in the way. I'm not backing the Giants. I'm not getting in the way of the Broncos in this one. I have a small 1-unit Broncos money line bet, and now it's at minus 160. So I'm probably going to leave it off my card. This is just something I did earlier in the summer. Just something to watch out for. That Giants O line might be pretty bad in week 1, and then I would potentially look to fade them in week 2.
The other thing that I was kind of toying with too, and obviously when you're doing these teasers, you like to get over that number 3 or the number 7. The Washington football team is +1 against the Chargers at home. They're home underdogs in this one against the Chargers. Obviously, once Justin Herbert took over last year for Tyrod Taylor, obviously just a massive difference for the Chargers. A new coach for the Chargers now as well, but defensively, the Washington football team is the same basically since last year. That defense is legit. That team as a whole was pretty legit the entire season. So if you tease them up, you get them up to 7. Ideally you'd like to get them at 7.5. If you weren't going to go that way.
Say. Yeah. What you can do if you have a spot where you really want to, it's minus 140 on DK Sportsbook to do a 6.5 point teaser.
Yep.
If you really feel good about something, and let's say Tampa's at 8, and you want to get them just on the money line, you can do 6 and all right, that wouldn't work. Forget what I was saying. If you have a spot, find a spot where you want the full 6.5. Maybe it's getting the Rams down to 1. That's a good teaser spot. Fading Andy Dalton and the Bears on the road on Sunday Night Football, and you want Washington. Do the 6.5.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was toying with that one, and I was like, man, I'd love to get the 7.5. But like you said, you can do that. A little bit more juice, obviously, with the minus 140. But that's a game that I think that I'm really going to keep my eye on. I don't think there's been a ton of line movement in that game, really, because there's really been no implications that would warrant any significant line movement like some of these other games has gone through. But that's one I really kind of want to keep an eye on as the week goes on. I feel like that might get a little more attention too as well. So looking at where this opened originally, so the football team actually has been gone from favorites to underdogs, so it's moving around a little bit, but that's definitely thing I want to keep an eye on. I think that could be an interesting game as a teaser piece.
Yeah, I don't hate it if you can get it to the right number. All right, so just scrolling down the board here, and just to say the popular teaser pieces, and they're not all going to win. One of these teams is going to lose, but Tampa over the Cowboys, the Niners over the Lions, the Bills sitting at 6.5 at home over the Steelers. The Chiefs as 6.5 point home favorites over the Browns, and the Rams as 7.5 point home favorites over the Bears. Those are going to be the popular teaser pieces in week 1. And then also real quick, I mentioned, this is obviously a piece for next week, but I mentioned potentially fading the Giants early if their O-line doesn't hold up well. You just talked about that Washington defense. If the Giants look bad at home in week 1 against the Broncos, they're on the short week, Thursday Night Football week 2 at Washington, going against Chase Young in that line. That's a spot that we might be coming on the next time we do this podcast on Monday, September 13th. I might be looking ahead to Thursday Night Football saying, all right, give me Washington, who's currently -3. That number would grow in that Thursday Night Football week 2 game. But we didn't come here to talk week 2. We came here to talk week 1. I already addressed mine. I'm still on my best bet of the summer, which is the 49ers -7, and also adding them into teasers. They're going to be my largest, liability. Making sure the 49ers get that game by more than a touchdown in week 1. Your spot has been the Dolphins, which obviously has had some moving pieces. Mac Jones is now starting for the Patriots. The Dolphins are down a couple guys due to COVID, including a starting O-lineman. Where are you still on that game? The Dolphins visiting the Patriots. as, what is it? Is it 3 or 2.5 right now?
It's 3 right now.
Okay.
I still think this is a great spot for the Dolphins. I mean, you want to even just look at their against the spread record last year. They were the best in the league. They were 11-5 against the spread last year. Now they're facing obviously the Patriots, who, you would have liked this better if Cam Newton was starting. Obviously, that was kind of the thing that had me on it at first. But now we have the rookie quarterback who, and if you believe what you've heard, has been doing extremely well reading Bill Belichick's playbook. Like, there was actually reports coming out just a couple of days ago that Mac Jones was actually helping Cam Newton read the playbook, which if that is actually the case, then, maybe rest in peace to this bet. But with that said, I still think there's a lot to like about Miami. Maybe I'm higher than some on what they did this offseason. I love the move for Will Fuller. I love the weapons that they have around them. I love the fact that Devontae
Fuller's missing this game, right?
That is correct. I'm just talking about in general, but okay. the fact that, like, getting Devontae Parker open was such an issue last year. They're able to do that more this year. I'm just not sold that the Patriots are going to come out all cylinders firing. No Stephon Gilmore in this game, by the way. Like, I just think that there's a lot to like about Miami at +3 in this game.
All right, that's fair. I'm on the Patriots over 9 for the season. I'm not betting this game. But I'll be rooting for the Patriots, obviously, for my win total to come through. And so that I can start the season 1-0 when the Niners win, like, I don't know, let's call it 38-10 49ers. And when the Patriots beat the Dolphins, then I'll be 1-0 and you'll be 0-1, and I'll have that to look back on. Okay. I'm going to give 2 other bets that are going to be in my best bets article on my best bets card for the rest of week 1. Interesting one here. The Packers all off season weren't expected to have Aaron Rodgers. They were +3 in a game in New Orleans. Then Aaron Rodgers does nothing. He just doesn't retire. He does nothing. And the spread moves 6 points to Packers -3. Hopefully you bet him early in the summer at +3 and -3, because DK Sportsbook is honoring these wagers, even with the moved location. Nothing is voided, which is very nice. Now, if the Packers are going to be 3-point favorites at the Superdome against the Saints in week 1, these numbers don't make sense. That does not mean that you only move 1 point to a 4-point favorite playing at a neutral field in Jacksonville. Is it easier for Saints fans to travel to? Sure. And there are reports that, like, the Saints did their homework here. Aaron Rodgers apparently doesn't have a very good record in Florida. I don't care. And they made sure that ticket prices from Wisconsin were more expensive to get to Jacksonville than to get somewhere like Dallas. So they're trying to make it harder for Packers fans to get to the game. I don't care. You're still not playing at home. You're still not in the Superdome. You're in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You're going up against Aaron Rodgers. The Saints have had, like, their top corners retiring, guys getting hurt, guys getting suspended. Drew Brees is gone. Michael Thomas isn't there. Right. There's too much going on with the Saints, and you're not even at home anymore. And you're going to get a motivated Packers squad. The last dance narrative with the Packers is ridiculous. What are you, Michael Jordan? Aaron Rodgers is now Michael Jordan in the Bulls. You've won 1 Super Bowl. You haven't dominated a decade of sport. Tom Brady is, if Tom Brady wants to call his last season the last dance, go right ahead. Aaron Rodgers, not so fast. But give me the Packers here. Like, give me things like Devontae Adams -150 anytime touchdown score. Maybe give me Devontae Adams' first touchdown score, because you remember that one. Devontae Adams' first touchdown score was up like over 20 units last year, because we're talking +5, 600 odds. That was a banger in 2020. But just finish up with some numbers on this one. Aaron Rodgers, last 13 week 1 games he's played in, he's 9-4 against the spread, so generally a strong starter. The Saints have gotten off to terrible starts. They are 2-12 against the spread in their last 14 week 1 and 2 games, to which DraftKings own Matt LaMarca tweeted at me that it's nice to know that Drew Brees gets off to slow starts. No, Matt LaMarca and anybody else saying this are giving me this argument. That is not the reason. In the last 7 week 1 games, Drew Brees and the Saints have averaged 30 points per game. The issues are all on the other side of the ball. You'll recall a 48-40 loss at the Superdome to Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Buccaneers. This defense has slipped, and it has been bad out of the gates early. So I'm all over the Packers on the neutral field, -4. Not to mention, yes, Jameis Winston could turn the ball over, and his top wide receiver is Marcus Callaway. So, there could be some issues there.
I get nervous whenever the public is excited about Jameis Winston again. He's looked good. He had the LASIK eye surgery. So, basically he was playing with his eyes closed in years past. But what's always been the issue with Jameis Winston? The turnovers. And he was getting those turnovers when he had a legitimate offense in front of him. You can't say that in week 1 for the Saints at all. I know Callaway's looked good in the preseason. I know that the Saints have, worked some things out, but I can't be crazy about the Saints in this one, especially with Winston. I need to see more from Winston. And maybe that's the square answer, because it's okay, well, when you see enough, the party's already happened. Now you're late. I don't feel like this is, I need to be early on the Saints in this one. I don't see it. I don't see it with a motivated Aaron Rodgers, with, the neutral playing field this. There's just too many red flags on the Saints side that doesn't want me, that I would be looking to back the Packers instead.
So I like that you brought up the public perception part, because it's all right, well, he was with the Bucs then. Now he's with the high flying Saints and Sean Payton. Yeah. It's oh, you mean when he was with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and now he has Marcus Callaway and
right.
Who's the number 2 wide receiver in New Orleans?
As of right now, it would probably be Traquan Smith, probably.
Yep. Just pulled up the depth chart. Marcus Callaway and Traquan Smith. So now you're with the Saints. Things will be better with Marcus Callaway and Traquan Smith than they were with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Okay, have fun with that, which is why another one that if I have time this week, I'm going to see how many articles I can get out this week. I'm going to try and set some kind of record. I'm going to put out an article on the Saints missing the playoffs. I bet it at -115. It's at -130. The Saints aren't going to be good. The Saints aren't going to be that good. They have Jameis Winston. They have no receivers till Michael Thomas gets back. Their defense is taking a step back. And not to mention they're starting the season on neutral field, and it could be a month until they get to play a home game.
Yep.
That hurts. Saints -130 to miss the playoffs. Packers -4 week 1. Give me those.
And not only that, the Saints desperately needed some cornerback help, so they went out and signed Desmond Trufant. Not somebody that was exactly particularly strong when he was healthy last year. So if they're going out and getting that desperate for cornerback help, that was somebody, Trufant was somebody that we were picking on when he was with Atlanta. We were picking on when he was against the Lions. They're hurting for stuff. They're hurting for players right now. So I just can't back them in this spot at all.
All right, fair enough. You want me to give out my other one, or do you want to give something out?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the other one we can talk more about on Monday when we do this podcast, because it is Monday Night Football, and I am going to take the road Baltimore Ravens -4. Again, the -4 on the Packers and the -4 on the Ravens as we record this. The best numbers in the industry. A lot of 4.5s out there. So you want to go ahead and bet these on DraftKings Sportsbook. I'll take the Baltimore Ravens -4 on the road against the Raiders. The only thing that I'm afraid of going up against, I guess Gruden's a decent early season coach. It's going to be a huge game. It's Monday Night Football, the first game with fans for the home team in Las Vegas. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a fun pregame atmosphere, turning on that game. And that building will be jacked up. But I got to take the Ravens here. And let me get into why for you. So first of all, the Raiders under 8 wins was my first futures bet. It's moved down to 7. So I got a lot of movement there. I don't see this team going 9-8, having a winning record. That means they're going to lose the games that they're underdogs in, I think. So I'm just kind of doubling down on my own thought process here. But the Ravens are a strong team out of the gates, a strong team as a slight road favorite, a strong team as a road team against the number. So these are the numbers that I put out on Twitter, the trends that I put out on Twitter. The Ravens' last 4 week 1 openers, they have won by 36.25 points per game.
Yep.
Last 4 home openers, they win by 36 points per game. That's like enormous blowout wins. You'll recall last year was 30-something to 6 against the Browns. The year before was 59-10 against the Dolphins. There was another 40-something to 3 against the Bills in there. They're blowing teams out to start seasons. The Ravens ended last season 7-1 against the spread in their last 8. That includes the playoff loss to Buffalo. 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 regular season games. The Raiders ended the year 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. They lost 2 of their last 7 outright. Momentum at the end of the season going different ways. Baltimore, last 9 games as a single-digit road favorite. Last 9 games as a single-digit road favorite. This number is courtesy of Spread Investor. 7-1-1 against the spread. Baltimore, last 34 road games overall. Just talked about them on the road. They've covered 22 of their last 34 road games overall. It's a trend play, but it's also an eye test play. I just think the Ravens are going to be a lot better than the Raiders this year. The Raiders' biggest step back was that offensive line, which was their strength last year. I think that took a huge step back. I think Baltimore gets this one by a touchdown or more.
And obviously, some of the news as of late has been the guys that Baltimore has lost this offseason due to injury. Justice Hill was the latest one.
Right. Two running backs. I'm all in on. I had my fantasy draft last week. Took Gus the Bus.
Yep.
At the turn at the end of the 3rd round. So oof. I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard Gus the Bus. I think we're gonna be good there.
But the thing that intrigues me too is that we've been hearing this is that they want to mix up this offense more than it was before, because it was almost downright predictable what the Ravens were going to do every play. They're going to run the ball. They want Lamar Jackson to throw the ball more. And we kind of saw that a little bit during this offseason. Sammy Watkins is on the team now as another receiver for him. Obviously, we know what
Sammy Watkins is probably going to help me with this bet, because he generally has about 50 DraftKings fantasy points in week 1, and then we never hear from him again.
I was going to say the week 1 darling, Sammy Watkins shows up in week 1, shows up in week. Well, now will be week 18. Would that be the last week? Yeah, week 18. Yep. So the beginning and the end. That's the Sammy Watkins mentality. But he shows up. He's going to be on the field for them. Some of the other downfield threats that they have. Obviously, the Raiders have had struggles with defending against the pass. So I do like the Ravens in this spot too as well. Admittedly, I haven't looked too deep into it as it is the Monday game, but -4 feels like a pretty favorable number against the Raiders, despite them being at home in that beautiful stadium. By the way, I don't know if you've seen that. Cashless, no cash accepted at Allegiant Stadium. That is correct. And they hosted WWE SummerSlam, and all the systems went down. So no concessions could be purchased because it is all electronic, no cash accepted. So everybody was hungry, thirsty, and angry.
I didn't know that. See, that's why you still got to keep it old school in some sense of the way. Like when I go out for like a night and I know I'm like going to a game, going different places, like I still always bring a little bit of cash with me.
Yeah, as you should.
I don't know.
You absolutely should. But apparently, if you go do that at Allegiant Stadium, it doesn't matter. Your money is no good here. Your money is no good here, apparently, is what happens at Allegiant Stadium.
All right. You got any other sides that you're playing? You're just making a teaser for week 1 and betting the Dolphins.
I really want to like the Eagles at +3 against the Falcons. Like it just feels like it's
a grimy game.
It is a grimy game, but that, you know what, I don't pride myself as like a handsome guy, a guy that gets into, nice things. If it's a very grimy game, but I don't know. Are the Eagles really 3-point dogs to the Falcons?
Dumpster barrel Buchanan.
I mean, but talk me through this. Like, do they really deserve to be 3-point underdogs against the Falcons, who are no longer in the presence of Julio Jones? Obviously, Kyle Pitts should, as we all feel like, especially us rookie of the year backers at Kyle Pitts at 10-1, feel like he's going to step into that role. Him and Calvin Ridley are by far the 1 and 2. But I don't know, from what you saw from Jalen Hurts last year and a healthier offensive line that we've seen in years past, are they really deserving of 3-point underdogs? I feel like, this is going to be one of two things. This is the absolute stone trap line of the week, or this was one that we're going to look back and go like, oh, that was an easy one. Like, I don't feel like it's going to be a 3-point game. This is either going to be a blowout by one of the sides. Just 3 points doesn't feel make a lot of sense to me in this spot.
Well, I guess it does. Like, I kind of agree with you in the sense, like, maybe one of these teams is going to win this game by double digits, but we just don't know who it is. So the 3 points tells us that this game, these teams are valued equally on a neutral field. Essentially, that's what it should mean. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust. I just don't feel like I can trust either team. I will say more people are fading the Eagles than like some people like the Falcons win total over, as they get sucked into every year over 7.5. I have no thoughts. I think both of these teams need to prove something to us before we know that they're good. And I don't know which one is the better team. So I just can't bet this game.
No, that's fair. But I just looked at that line and I go, that feels like one that I want to dive into, because it's week 1 and we're going to get grimy and nasty. And that's just exactly where I landed. But I think that's going to be another one I'm going to try to keep an eye on as it gets a little bit closer to Sunday. But that, I just look at that line, it just feels off to me. That's really my inkling on that one.
All right, fair enough. Okay, so you're teasing the Bucks and the Giants.
Yep.
You like the Dolphins +3. You might like the Eagles +3. I am on the Niners -7, the Packers -4, the Ravens -4, and I'm teasing the Bucks and Niners. That's going to be my week 1 card for now. But I am working on the rest of the articles, and I'm going to add some stuff to the best bets articles. I have Thursday night and Monday night best bets articles. So I'm sprinkling a couple other plays in there. I'll just give you the preview of the Thursday one since I have that one essentially done. I am writing up the Bucks first half -4.5. Prescott, this is his preseason first half of this game. Whereas the Bucks come in Super Bowl champs, everybody back, preseason under their belts, ready to go. I think this one gets out of control a little bit early. Not something I've bet myself yet, but something I'm putting in the Thursday night article. Player prop. When I started writing this one, it was, I think, 33 rushing yards for Leonard Fournette. It is now 35.5 rushing yards for Leonard Fournette with -115 to the over. This is the prop I'm writing up for Thursday night. Leonard Fournette over 35.5 rushing yards. Ronald Jones is up at 47.5. So it's kind of a split backfield. Do we forget, like, people remember Leonard Fournette pass catching in the postseason. He was huge. He caught 18 passes in the 4 games, 18 of 21 targets for 148 yards and a receiving touchdown. That role is going to be gone. That role is going to belong to Gio Bernard. That's why he's there. Right. And the rushing will be split up between Jones and Fournette. But do we forget what Fournette did on the ground in the postseason? Let me remind you, Washington, 19 carries, 93 yards and a touchdown. New Orleans, 17 carries, 63 yards. Green Bay, 12 carries, 55 yards and a touchdown. Chiefs in the Super Bowl, 16 carries, 89 yards and a touchdown. That's 64 carries for 300 yards in the 4 postseason games. Right. 75 yards a game, no fewer than 55 in any game. They're going to hand the ball to Fournette. And what do we have here? Tampa, 8-point home favorite against a Dallas defense that was only above the Houston Texans in rushing yards allowed last year. 158.8 rushing yards per game allowed for the Dallas Cowboys. If Tampa gets up big in this one, yeah, Jones will get his, like, you can bet them both if you want, but I wish you could bet like team total rushing yards on Tampa. But yeah, give me Leo Fournette This is one I will put some money on, and one that I'm putting in Thursday night best bets over 35.5 rushing yards.
So I got a same game parlay for this one.
Yeah. Well, the Bucks are going to win, obviously. So
Right. So it's part of it. So you get the Bucks at minus half a point. Okay. Leonard Fournette, anytime touchdown score, and Tom Brady over 249.5 passing yards. You same game
why wouldn't
parlay
you
that
just
one?
put the Fournette rushing yards in there?
I like the touchdown score. You get better odds.
I know, but you can put them both.
You could put them both, but I'm always sticking to 3. You parlay all those 3 together, same game parlay, you get plus 310. That's a pretty nice number.
That is a nice number.
That is.
Why don't I see the Leonard Fournette on rushing touchdowns?
You got to go to touchdown scores, and then you scroll down to anytime touchdown score. That's how you get it there, and then that's all those guys there.
Thank you for helping me out there.
See what?
All right, so there's a player prop I'm looking at. That one's early. Does anything real quick before we get out of here? Is there any player prop that you're kind of keeping your eye, like, hey, when this one comes out, this is a spot that I have my eye on for week 1?
I was kind of looking at I want to know what Baker Mayfield's passing prop is going to be in that one, because they're obviously almost a touchdown underdogs in that one on the road against Kansas City. This was the team that gave Kansas City a lot of trouble last year. And so that was one that I really wanted to kind of look at. I'm very high on the Browns this year. I like them over 10.5 wins. It was one of my biggest plays of the preseason of before the season started. Obviously this game has a high total. I think it's at 54.5. The last time I checked was the over under this one, but that is definitely something I want to be looking at. Because if we're thinking that Baker is going to continue to excel, have Odell Beckham back, I believe, as well. So I think there's a lot to like about taking the over on his passing yards when that does come out.
All right, that's fair. I haven't gotten anywhere for Sunday, but I don't know. I'm not a very creative guy. I need to see the numbers and then react. So I will have some player props for week 1 Sunday. All right, last thing before we get out of here, obviously, reminder, take Tampa Bay plus 73. Get your money there, your $25 for Sunday. Monday, we will be back with Johnny Avello. That's every Monday, by the way. We will have Johnny Avello on as Steve and I recap the week, look at Monday Night Football, look ahead, have Johnny Avello to talk the lines. Thursdays, we will have our great guests on. You want to follow the Unreasonable Odds podcast on Twitter at Unreasonable Odd. Besides listening to the podcast and getting some of our bets and things of that nature, and we do tweet out plays on days that we don't have the podcast. We gave out a couple MLB winners last week in a Tampa Bay Rays Boston Red Sox game. We've been giving out some college football winners. And by we, I mean I, because Steve doesn't know anything about college football.
Correct.
One of the winners that we gave out, and this is why you're going to want to follow the Unreasonable Odds podcast, on Thursday night, we gave out NC State minus 19 against South Florida. NC State routed them, won the game 45-0. We cashed that best bet for 2 units, and that gave me the ability to give away 5 $100 free bets on DraftKings Sportsbook. We're going to be doing plenty more of this season, where when Steve and I cash bets, we're going to celebrate, and we're going to give you free bets on DraftKings Sportsbook, and those will be given out from the Unreasonable Odd podcast Twitter. So you're going to want to make sure to follow that. And because NC State did us so well last week, no, I'm not going to do a giveaway, but I am going to give away a best bet. We are back on the Wolfpack this week. NC State minus 2.5 at Mississippi State. As I said, NC State won with conviction. It was at home. It was against South Florida, but 10 starters back on defense. They looked really, really good. The offense looked terrific, bringing a lot of skill position guys back, top 3 receivers, top 3 running backs. They have skill position guys that can get the job done. Going on the road to play an SEC team, I don't care. Mississippi State, 21-point favorite last week, squeaked by La Tech, 35-34 at home. So they did not come ready, even in a home game. NC State's going to go on the road and crush them here. Kenny White, somebody that I interview from time to time, the Wizard of Odds, they call him in college football. His NC State projected for 8.8 wins in his magazine this year. Says that he has him ranked number 6 in the country in terms of just pure talent. NC State is going to get the job done. Another convincing victory. at Mississippi State. That is a Saturday evening kickoff. So go ahead on DraftKings Sportsbook, grab NC State. I'm adding that to my best bets card before Steve goes back into the hosting chair and gets us out of here after I just use my handy dandy note card again to get all that information in.
Yep. So congratulations on that. As we said, new podcast coming twice a week, starting next week. We're getting back into the NFL grind. We'll be here to help you with all your betting and daily fantasy needs. So make sure to hit the subscribe wherever you get your audio podcast, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, yada, 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 yada. There's probably about 5 more that just popped up as I was sitting here rambling on with this sentence. Make sure to follow the Unreasonable Odd, singular, not plural, Unreasonable Odd Twitter account, giving out plays and all that good stuff as well. For Julian Edlow, I'm Steve Buchanan. We will see you next time.